Hello everyone, welcome to Overzealous Logical or OWL Reviews, where today I'll be bringing you book feel analysis about The Tombs of Atuan by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a YA fantasy series. This is the second book in the series, and it's part of the Earthsea cycle. In the interest of full disclosure, I think I should tell you that Ursula K. Le Guin is one of my favorite authors, and she has written one of my favorite books of all time, which is The Left Hand of Darkness. And all of this is just my personal notes. I've read this book like 4 or 5 times, and every time I love this book so much. So I have read the first book in this series called A Wizard of Earthsea, which revolves around the wizard Ged, and the only reason that I mention that is because he does appear in the second book, The Tombs of Atuan. I really wish that I had read this book when I was actually a young adult, although I still did learn a lot from it reading it now that I'm almost 30. The story of Arha is one of discovery, self-discovery, and freedom, and the power to make your own choices and decisions in your life, and how hard those choices can be to make. The reason that I really love this book is because it hits on some of my favorite themes in literature, which are trust and companionship, both trusting yourself and trusting somebody else. Not just saying you trust them, but putting that trust to the test and having it come out in the end stronger and true. And that is really what happens between Ged and Arha. There are some great scenes in this book, just very subtle and minor scenes, and I'm going to read one in a minute, like when Ged says Arha's true name, which at this point in the book she hasn't heard in probably 10 years or more. So she just thinks of herself as Arha, or the Eaten One, which is the priestess name, but she still has her own name, and she doesn't recall it, but then Ged, because he is this powerful wizard, is able to figure it out, but instead of using it to manipulate her into doing what he wants, he uses it to free her and for her to get what she wants. So this is the scene where Ged reveals Arha's true name, which she hasn't heard in a long time. "I will do as you say," he said gently. "I'll bring food and water when I can. There won't be much. Water enough, but not much food for a while. I'm getting hungry, do you see? But enough to stay alive on. I may not be able to come back for a day or 2 days, perhaps even longer. I must get Castle off the track. But I will come, I promise. Here's the flask. Hoard it. I can't come back soon, but I will come back." He raised his face to her. His expression was strange. "Take care, Tenar," he said. And that's the end of the chapter. You don't get her reaction at that moment, but it changes everything. And then there was the scene where Arha had to make her final decision to actually go with Ged, and I gotta tell you, I was not convinced that she was gonna make the decision to leave. And just when she says that she's gonna go with him, I wanted to cry tears of joy. I was just so happy for her, even though I knew it was not going to be an easy journey. I was reading this book on the train, and I had to like close it and just like sit there with it pressed to my heart for a few minutes while I just dealt with how that made me feel. I have read some criticism about the fact that when Arha finally makes the decision to not be the priestess, the Eaten One, anymore, it's really because of Ged and his presence in the labyrinth. Ursula K. Le Guin does address this in her afterword, and I agree with what she says, which is that the idea is that Ged and Arha have to work together, each of them, to achieve their goals. Once Arha locks him into the labyrinth, his power is being sapped by the Nameless Ones, and he can only escape with her help, and she can only break out of the role of the Eaten One with his help. It's so good, you guys. I can't handle it. You have to read this book. Alright everyone, so I think that gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect from my book reviews here on OWL Reviews, and it also gives you a pretty good introduction to Ursula K. Le Guin, both her fiction and her nonfiction, because that afterword at the end of this book is just as incredible as the book itself. So again, this was The Tombs of Atuan, and I highly, highly recommend it. If you're a stickler like me and you have to read a whole series, you can definitely start with A Wizard of Earthsea, which I equally loved, or you can just jump right in and read this one book if you don't want to read the rest. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!